Okay. Just see what my wife is. Are these big? Oh, what kept
You want all the signatures if possible? I've got permission to get all the signatures. That's a good job, isn't it? You just said to the video
Sign it.
Alright. How are you keeping? Alright. Very well, thank you. I'm a big Preston fan. Looks like it's your way there. Thanks very much. Was there a drink up there, was there? Sorry, was there a drink up there? Back to the room.
Sorry?
I'm fine, thank you.
On the night, eh? The thing is, if you go on there on Sundays, oh, yeah, no.
busy traffic on that day.
It's been hail.
It's very busy.
Makes sense, mate. We're upstairs, did you know? Upstairs, yeah. Thank you. Anyway, I do.
You never know, anyway.
Thank you, Sammy.
Thanks so much. We're upstairs.
See you again to that.
That's what I like to see. Girl Preston.
Yes, yeah,
I see that.
yeah.
That's great.
Is it? You can sign it as well then.
Is Ian signed yours?
Pardon?
Has Ian signed yours?
Yeah.
Ian hasn't.
Your man, that'd be very
What a bloody gag.
Just something background those lines getting you.
You're all the drums.
Excellent. And again for me, if you just feel with me.
Come on, love, as long as I'm the last one.
Yours is for the Police Gazette, Tom.
Especially back you, innit?
That's it there. Back in this one for me, that's super.
Oh,
Go on,
look at
go on, Tommy, lad.
Look at his got his hand in his pocket. Not to buy a drink.
You still got that Wigan blazer on, Put him on, that man. Put him on.
Hey, put him up. He's sitting there. He's sitting there. That is his television coming on in a minute now. Aye.
You're not recording me.
Yeah, not in your way,
Just find the basics now if you would. That's good.
Right,
Only players on this one.
Ronnie Clay. Ivor Brothers. Bill Berry. Bill Berry. Can I ask everybody who's going to the function what you kindly move upstairs, please? Seats at the table.
George point a bit.
Nice to see you.
How are you? All right, mate. Good, nice to see you. Right.
I'm all right with it. It's a real mess. You've been through the edge.
She'll be all right with me. Where's she? She's gone up with Mary, I think.
Yeah, but is she sit down or not? It doesn't really matter if she wants to sit down. Everybody else can get.
He's gone home.
Wait, is that card still there? Card? Please.
I know it's not. I did a radio documentary on Preston and mentioned 5 players that have got more than any other, and obviously there are. It's probably just something to do with this. I'd say the things have just quick to tax. I mean, would it be possible to read it?
Yeah, probably ring me at all, and then I'd have to, you know, like a version from last night.
Yeah.
You let your hair go, Paul?
Huh?
You let your hair go now?
Kate Wilson.
Lovely. Lovely.
Association welcome to Sir Tom Finney. Round of applause for Bella too. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tommy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tommy. Happy birthday to you. Thank you very much. I'm introduce the chairman of the Former Players Association, Mr. George Ross. Give him a round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It must be a Sunday. Mike King's been nice to me. He's not insulted me yet. To say I'm privileged and honoured to be stood here is an understatement. The only reason I'm stood here is because I'm chairman of the former players. The names and the faces around the room is just mind-blowing. A few weeks ago, Tommy was presented by Jim Cadman. Where's Jim? Jim, can you just stand up and make yourself known? Jim was the gentleman that donated the statue of the splash for Tom Finney to present it to the museum. And he invited me that day to the museum. And it was like a little boy, a 6-year-old, something like that, because the names of the people that were there, Johnny Haynes, Ronnie Clayton, Tommy Dock, the lot, they were all there. And I was a little lad collecting autographs. And I was actually stood around, just talking to these men, you know, it was unbelievable. I've got a little grandson now called Josh. He does the same things now, he's collecting little cards, you know, for the World Cup. And that came back to me that day when I was with all these people. And I'm 50 odd now. There's so many names here today, I'm not going to even try and introduce them. I'm going to leave that to Mike, because he's a brilliant man at that. And I always forget somebody and I would hate that. But there are two people I would like to introduce. And one is sat on table 10 there, Paul McKenna. Paul, as we all know, plays for North End now. Brilliant little player. And I think it's great that he comes today to pay tribute to Tom. Just imagine, you should be here, Paul. And unfortunately, I think you would be forgiven to think that when you hear all older players talking, that we all talk about hard men. You know, that's all everybody talks about, being hard. You know, who's the hardest player you're playing against and all the rest of it. But, and the usual things come out, Norman Hunter, Alan Harris, Tommy Smith. The other person I would like to introduce today makes them look like a pussycat. And there's a few in the room really, but the one really that I want to talk about is Tommy Banks.
I couldn't fill a pint pot now.
He's not changed. Tommy was a juggler with wingers, wasn't he? You know. But it's not because of the hardness, really, only that I want to talk about Tommy. I was talking to Nobby Styles a few weeks ago, and we were telling him this deal was coming up, and unfortunately Tommy couldn't come today. Nobby couldn't come. But we were talking about when the maximum wage was abandoned. Now this man, Tommy Banks, and Nobby were both agreed at the time. I don't know how many of the lads in here went to the hotel in Manchester when we took the vote to get the maximum wage abolished. There was a little bit of humming and hawing in the room. Again, it was magic for me because everything happened to me when I was about 16, you know, and all these big stars were there again. I was quite happy just to be there, no my wages. But Tommy got up on his feet and made a little speech. I can't remember the speech, how it went and all the rest of it. From that moment, the attitude in the room changed and everybody voted to get the maximum wage abolished. And a lot of today's players, and yesteryear's players, have a lot to be thankful for that man, Tommy Banks. So Tommy, I'd like to say thank you now.
Do you know what I am? The Arnold Palmer of football. No, this is true.
Imagine. Tommy, it's going to be lovely to listen to you after when you get hold of this microphone.
Who's pulling up to this
No, this is genuine.
Oh, no kidding.
I wish you'd brought your partner here today as well. Do you remember his partner? Big Roy Hart. So when Tommy was finished with one winger, he used to send him across to the same Roy Hart. Which, sadly, talking about partnerships, just to put a slight dampener, just for a few minutes, my old partner at Wembley, Jimmy Smith, passed away on Wednesday. Very, very sad. It was a big shock. Jimmy's been ill, but it was still very sad when his wife Joan phoned me up to tell me. Now, knowing Jimmy wouldn't want to put a dampener on anything, and he would wish Tommy all the good luck in the world, and that we would all have a good day today. But please, in your own private moments, the funeral's next Wednesday, please spend a bit of time thinking about Jim. Please. Thank you. Not talking about Tom Finney yet, have we? Tommy, wonderful, what an inspiration to everybody. What can you say about Tom Finney that's not been said before? The only little thing I can say is that I was a teammate of Tom Finney. People have asked me a lot. Alan McKenna, Paul's dad, who does the best job at North End, actually feeds all the players. He asked me on the way in, did you play with Tom Finney? I actually did, but it's not on record. I bet you Tom doesn't even remember it. It was actually in Switzerland, in a close season tour when he finished. He actually finished again. And North End, we got to the Youth Cup final. Dave Wilson, who's here, Rodney Webb, Peter Thompson, Alan Spellman. And we were going to Switzerland on tour. But before then, I had to go up to Inverness for a couple of weeks holiday. I got a telegram. Not a phone call, a telegram. A lot of people remember telegrams, won't they? To report back to Deepdale, because I was going to Switzerland with the first team. Well, that was just pure magic, that. It was a dream. So anyway, to cut it short, we get over, and the first game's against Servette. With about 5 minutes to go, Willie Cunningham, God bless him, headed the ball. Now, as people who played with Willie know, when Willie headed the ball, Willie fainted. And true enough, he did this time. Anyway, they took him off, and Tom is on the pitch, and he's shouting me to come on. And the managers in the first row of the stand shouted me to stay off. Why, I don't know. Took me all the way to Switzerland, didn't want to put me on. Anyway, this goes on seemingly for 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm stood on the touchline, one leg over the line, both sides. The greatest player in the world is telling me to come on the pitch, and the manager's telling me to stay off it. There was no argument really, I went on. So I actually played 4 minutes with Tom Finney. So when people say to me now, did you play with Tom Finney? I said, oh, no problem, yeah. But more to the story than that really goes, when I say who the manager was, and the Doc and Les Dagger and everybody else will realise it was Cliff Britton. Now, I took my life in my hands, or my career in my hands, by, going against him. But that's how much I thought of Tom Finney. And to this day, he's a true gentleman. Tommy, I hope you have a great day today with your family and friends. All the very best. Thank you.
George Ross, ladies and gentlemen, Chairman of the Association. And if you didn't understand what he was saying, it's on CFAX 888. Thanks for putting 19 seconds of entertainment into 20 minutes, George. That was absolutely brilliant. And Tommy Banks, well, that's what happens when cousins marry. We've got two together there, Tommy Dock and Tommy Banks. The only time I fell out with Tommy Dock is when he didn't piss off with my missus. One or two people would like to say one or two things after we've had the buffet, but I've just got apologies to read out here. If you can to listen, because a lot of people have rung in and sent letters, and also Thomas had letters at home, cards, all sorts of things. Apologies from Frankie Farrell, Fred Ells, Bobby Beattie, Charlie Wayman, Angus Morrison, George Thompson, Peter Thompson, John Barton, Ray Evans, Nat Lofthouse, Eddie Hopkinson, Jimmy Armfield, and Joe Marston, who has sent his own tribute to Sir Tom. And Fred Ells has sent a 3-page letter. I can't read it, but he just sent a 3-page letter. Now, there are a lot of footballing guests in here today, and I will be jumping about from table to table, so if I mention one table and then move back again, don't think I've forgotten it. Our footballing guests who are here this afternoon include, on table 2, two great pals of mine, Ronnie Clayton and Brian Douglas from Blackburn Rovers in England. Will you take them out, gentlemen? They were two crackers, weren't they? On table 9, we have the one and only Tommy Banks of Bolton Wanderers in England. Tommy, take another bow.
I'm sorry about that, Buster.
Also on table 9, we welcome the former Manchester City, Newcastle and England international, Ivor Brodus. On table 7 is one from Blackpool and of course England international, along with Alan Brown of Blackpool and Scotland international, Bill Perry and Alan Brown from Blackpool and the international country. There we are. So it's massive fellas. Now Alan was also captain of the Luton Town team in Sir Tom Finney's last league game. From Burnley, on table 8, we have the Irish international, Jimmy McElroy. And the former England winner, little flyer, Brian Pilkington. Other internationals with us this afternoon to help celebrate Sir Tom's birthday are, of course, Tommy Docherty, Tommy Thompson, and then, unfortunately Gordon Mill hasn't turned up yet. We don't know if he's coming out yet. But please welcome Tommy Docherty. Tommy Docherty, take him out. Former Manchester United manager and the Scotland manager. And of course, Tommy Thompson. Tommy Thompson, take him out. Great pal of Sir Tom's. International. There's more than 60 members of the Preston North End Former Players Association are here this afternoon, and they include Alex Bruce, Les Campbell, Jonathan Clark, Les Dagger, Jack Gornall, Bobby Ham, David Hughes, Peter Hyam, Graham Houston, Chris Hunter, Eric Jones, Jim McNabb, Bert Patrick, George Ross, Willie Robertson, Sammy Taylor, John Thomas, Ken Waterhouse, Bob Wilson and Dave Wilson and Mike Elvis. Would you give them all a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Over on table 2 we have the former Blackburn Rovers fullback, who is now of course Mr. JJB himself, Dave Whelan. Dave Whelan. Over JJB. We've also got a member of the Brindle Bass Band in, and I've not got his game down here, but he played on every game at North End. Martin Brass is not going to play today, but no. Now on table 6, we welcome Mr. Harold Idden, who was a former North End teammate of Sir Tom's as a junior before the war and as a professional during the war. Now Harold is the 200th member to join the successful Preston North End Former Players Association. Would you show your round of applause, please? Where is he? Thanks, Harold. And also, as we mentioned before, we're a great part of the families involved in the North End. Paul McKenna is a pleasant player. Come on, Paul, take him out. Look at that. It's time for eating. We're going to have a buffet, and I'm going to tell you how you're going to work after. But what I want you to do is just bow your heads a little bit. Just bow your heads a little bit. Don't need to stand. Just sort of you. I think I'm the only person in here with my own hips. Lord of mercy, bless our food. Keep us in a pleasant mood. Bless the chef and those who serve us from indigestion, Lord, preserve us. So with sighs and and bursting breeches when we fall asleep during the boring speeches. Lord, this plea comes from saints and sinners and old Johnson and Swarbrick's mates on subsidised dinners. Amen. Before we go for our buffet now, and it is ready, and the chef's got over the impetigo, so don't worry. There's a police message, and I'm sorry, you saw the car park full, and I do apologise. Will the owner of a Reliant Robin turbo gear, automatic with a sunroof and low bars, please go to the car park, because the rat is dragging the man away. It's buffet time, and of course our top table is number 3, so we're going to go in tails of 2. We're going to go through that door there, and hopefully we're going to reappear from this door here. But if we see each of your sandwiches out there, we'll give you a shout. So I'm going to ask the top table, would you kindly make your way through and get your meal? We'll look after your mum and dad.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a man of few words really, but it would be very remiss of me this afternoon particularly to not say a great deal of thanks, first of all to the Ex-Players Professional Association who have organised this dinner, and it's embarrassing for me in the sense that, you know, I don't see that I've done anything other than hundreds of other players. And it was very gratifying to have people like Jimmy McIlroy, Tommy Docherty, singing my praises, because they were both great players themselves. And it's, you know, a great deal of pleasure for me to see so many people supporting this event. I'm very pleased indeed for the Ex-Players Association, because I do know that the amount of time it's taken to organise a dinner or an afternoon anyway like this, and my thanks go out to them, and also to the wonderful entertainment we've had from Mike King and Dusty here. It was really a great occasion to hear them this afternoon. I can only say that I've been a Preston-born boy, and of course I've had a great deal of pleasure in playing for my hometown. All I ever wanted to do was to be a professional football player. And I well remember having a trial for Preston North End on Ashton Park. And in the meantime, my father had got me a job as an apprentice plumber. And after the game, Jim Taylor, who was then the chairman of Preston North End, approached my father for me to sign as an apprentice professional football player. And when we got back in the bus after, and when my father said to me, you know, what had happened, I said straight away, like, well, that's absolutely fantastic, because you know, I thought he would just say, well, we'll just sign on the dotted line. But my father said, oh, just a minute, like, you're not signing until you've finished and served your 7 years as an apprentice plumber. And those were probably the wisest words that and advice I was ever given. In the sense that war broke out in '39, of course, which would have meant, of course, I would have lost my apprenticeship and would also have lost any contract I would have had as a player. But I went on to serve in the forces and did 4.5 years in the forces, and came back at 24 years of age to to start my career with Preston North End as a professional. And I hope to say then that I came across a piece of paper only a few months ago where it was my first contract was for Preston North End in 1940 when I signed professional for them at 10 shillings a game. And I'll say a game because if you didn't play, you didn't get paid. You know, however, I came back after the war and had a very successful career with Preston North End, and I must say it was the most enjoyable time of my life. And I'm also very grateful today to see all my family here together, which is a great occasion. Not often that we get together so often, but it gives me very great pleasure now to thank you personally for coming along and supporting this event, and particularly the Preston North End officials, and also to the ex-players that have come along, ex-professional players from other clubs that have supported this event. I'm delighted to see so many of them, and I'll not tell you any of the tales that went on when I did play against certain players, but only one, and that I'll not mention his name. But, thank you very, very much indeed for supporting this event. It's been a great occasion for me and my wife, and I'm just sorry that my wife is not all that fit and able to enjoy it as much as the majority of us enjoyed it here. And thank you very, very much indeed for supporting.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Tom Finney. Sir Tom Finney. Ladies and gentlemen, just take your seat. I'd just like to wind up, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a marvellous day. I'm sure you have. The bar's going to stay open, as I said, till late on tonight, but there's one or two people I'd like to thank who were sponsored today and helped make this afternoon a success. There's Johnson and Swarbrick, that's Regis Johnson, Bill Bowker from Bowker's BMW, the guys at Adeline Tone, who of course supplied the tickets, Mr. Bill Rogerson of The Cottage, Steve Johnson of Paper Innovations, who supplied the souvenir programmes, and Jim Cadman, who organised the cakes, etc., and of course Malcolm Woodhouse. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ex-Players Association, I'd like to thank you. I don't know whether the chairman would like to say anything else. No, you've said enough. We're about to stiff with you. We're not going to have another bloody half hour from Joe Ross.
Only one thing to say, ladies and gentlemen, the great Mike King.
Well, it is a pleasure for me to be here because he's been my hero all my life, and a lot of the lads who played with us in the juniors and the A and B team, we were just astounded. Actually, if he was the Mac Man, because I'm not usually this busy on a Sunday. It says Tommy Dock said, Tommy Dock is travelled around on the circuit with Dusty myself, and of course he said if we'd have used it at Wembley, we'd have had Wembley, we would have filled it. We've been asked for so many tickets, we were limited in what we could do here at this hotel. I think they've done us proud. I think it's been a super day. I think the food's been great. I think the organisation has been good, and I'd like to show you appreciation for the two Rigby brothers and all the rest of the committee who've done